Yes, people, we are back. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time of day it is, in whatever part of the world that you're watching this in. Welcome back to the Old Southern Pine. Today, we are going to be going over multiple ways of starting a fire and what I believe to be the ultimate fire starting tool, the Ferro Rod. I'm going to show you why I believe it is better than other fire making tools, the common mistakes that I see from people trying to use it, including very well-known YouTubers. Whatever. Come after me if you want to. And the proper way to use it. Now, as we all know, there are multiple ways to start a fire. Every option on this table is not a bad way to start a fire. Each of these fire making methods have their weaknesses to them. We'll start with matches. Matches are great. Should you carry them? Absolutely. But the chemical compound on matches that ignites has an expiration date to it. Also, a well-placed drop of rain can render it completely useless. Now, I'm from Georgia, and we invented humidity. I've actually seen where the air humidity is too damp and makes the matches unable to light. They're great for dry conditions, but not in an emergency. Your everyday pocket lighter. Now, I carry that lighter with me every single day, and it's a great tool. But eventually, it will run out of fuel. Lighter fluid does not like to work in cold conditions. If it's above 50 degrees Fahrenheit, it's really not going to be working very well. You've got to keep it in your pocket, up against your body to get that heat warmed up. Now, I've had hypothermia 3 times in my life. Each time it has been above freezing. Hypothermia begins when your body temperature drops below 95 degrees Fahrenheit. That can happen in 50 degree Fahrenheit weather. You've got to be prepared to make a fire in any condition, regardless of what shape you're in. And if you've fallen in the water and you get out and you're freezing cold and your hands are shaking, you're probably not going to be able to warm up that lighter fluid enough to be able to get it to work. The other side of it is if you drop that into a puddle of water, or if you have it in your pocket and you go into the water and you're wet or soaked even from just walking through wet snow, that lighter is useless until it dries. These arc lighters, like this one here from Blackbeard Firestarter, these things are amazing. They will light in high winds. Really, its only downside is that it will eventually run out of electricity if you forget to charge it like I often do. Which leads us to the Ferro Rod, also known as the Ferro Rod. Now, a Ferro Rod is a compressed stick of ignitable metals. Now, there are a lot of companies out there that make these things. This one is from Uberleben. I believe that it is the Hexa Pro. The sparks that it throws is roughly 5,000 degrees. That's about half the temperature of the surface of the sun. This will throw sparks in high winds. Now, you got to be careful where you're throwing them to. You could throw this thing in a lake, pull it out 2 years later. It is still going to work just fine. It's still going to throw sparks. You're not going to have any problems with it whatsoever. Now, it goes without saying, but the single most important thing in all fire making tutorials: know your surroundings, be safe, be extra careful. You don't want to go set anything on fire that you do not want on fire. Preparation is key, safety is everything. Now, each of these ferro rods comes with its own little thumb striker attached to it. These are great. I use these all the time. I actually typically use these more than anything else. However, what I'm going to start you guys with, how I learned to do it, you take your multi-tool. Now, you want to use the back side of the saw on your multi-tool. Now, just because I'm teaching you to use the back of your saw blade on your multi-tool, that doesn't mean that the striker that doesn't come with that isn't perfect. This is how I was taught. I'm teaching you guys. Now, as soon as you guys are familiar with it, and if you practiced with it a little bit, enough that you can consistently get sparks with it, go right ahead and use that thumb striker that comes with it. Like I said, usually that's what I use. But starting out using the back of your multi-tool saw blade, that gives you a baseline for understanding moving forward. Okay, if I'm not getting the right kind of sparks using the thumb striker or the spine of my knife, just start over, go back to your multi-tool, and that gives you an understanding of, am I holding the thumb striker wrong? Am I not getting enough leverage? Now, mistake number 1, I call the tough guy. What he's doing is he's trying to show off. He's not taking proper precautions. He's using the very end of his saw blade where there's going to be a little bit of flex. He's not going to have as much control. And he's just trying to hang it in there and just. The other one is the dead fish. They're pushing down on it. They're using too much pressure without control. You don't want your ferro rod going down. So they're not really getting good. See, it's just, you can't really get, it just doesn't work. The third one is using your knife blade on your ferro rod. Yes, technically you can get a spark that way. I'm not even going to demonstrate it because it drives me insane. Please don't do it. That is a fantastic way to destroy a beautiful knife blade. The last improper way that I'm going to show you, and I see a lot of YouTubers do this, is what I call the spray and pray. And they just sit there and they just run it back and forth and hope that they get a spark to catch somewhere. You're not having any technique. You have no real control over it. You're not maximizing the amount of sparks that you should be getting. You want to do it once, do it right, and maximize the amount of sparks you're going to get. Now what I'm going to teach you to do is what I consider to be the partial way to properly do this. First, you're going to want to try and stand up. You're trying to learn pressure. It's not about speed. It's about pressure and finesse. Use the back side of the saw blade on your multi-tool, and you want to get up very close to the handle. That's where you're going to be able to apply the most amount of pressure, get the most amount of control, and not have it flipping around doing the tough guy or the dead fish. You want to maintain pressure on the ferro rod the entire length of the ferro rod. You want to get a firm grip on your multi-tool handle, place it almost right up against that handle at the very back end of the blade, and you're going to want to pull your ferro rod. Where your knuckle is pointing to is where those sparks are going to go. Really grip your handle, put your ferro rod to it, and you're going to try and get even pressure the entire length of the ferro rod. Now what you want, the correct amount of pressure should send sparks to the ground. You should still be able to see them burning for half a second once they're on the ground. So you can see those right on the ground there. Try this from a different angle so you can really kind of see how it actually lands on the ground itself. You can see where they fell. They continued to burn for a few seconds. That's the right amount of pressure. Now with that, I'd say you guys are ready to start a fire. Now if you have prepared your tinder correctly, which you should always take the extra time to prepare your tinder, this is just birch bark. Take it, put it where you're intending to start your fire, and if you have prepared it correctly, you should be able to get that fire going in 3 strikes or less. Remember, pin and pull. Pin and pull, and there you go. Simple as that. And that's why I think the Lone and Mighty Ferro Rod is the ultimate fire starting tool. With just a little bit of practice, you can use that tool to get a fire going in virtually any condition every single time. Now you guys have all seen on this channel that I like to camp in pretty extreme conditions. Whether it's pouring down rain, blowing wind, or minus 26 degrees Fahrenheit in a polar vortex, the Ferro Rod is my go-to. I know that no matter how cold I am, I can use that every single time to get a fire started, and I don't have to worry about if my lighter is wet or warm enough, if my matches fell in the snow, or if I've charged my arc lighter. I hope you guys have enjoyed following along with this tutorial as much as I have enjoyed making it. If so, please like, subscribe, comment down below. Let me know what your favorite fire starting method is. And until we meet again under the old southern pine, stay safe. God bless.